Opening scene fades in bustling corporate office sounds in the background. Camera pans to Leah Santos, a petite 8-year-old girl with a determined expression, clutching a textured blue portfolio as she walks up to the reception desk. You know, life has a funny way of surprising you, and sometimes the biggest game changers come in the smallest packages. Picture this. It was a normal Wednesday morning at the Blackstone Corporation, a place known more for its steel and glass exterior than for empathy. And then in walked Leah Santos, an 8-year-old girl with big dreams and an even bigger heart. Cut to reception area as Leah approaches the receptionist, who is engrossed in her phone. The receptionist barely glanced up when Leah stood there. She assumed the child was lost, just wandering in from the street. "Sweetie, this is a corporate office. Are you looking for your mom?" she asked casually, dismissing Leah with a wave of her hand. But Leah, with her chin held high, shot back with fierce clarity, "No, I have an interview with CEO Richard Thornfield, and my mom is in the hospital with pneumonia." Receptionist's eyes widened, intrigued but still skeptical. You could almost sense the shift in energy. The receptionist, taken aback, realized this kid wasn't fooling around. So she reluctantly called up to Richard's office, half expecting him to laugh it off. But Leah didn't just have an interview lined up. She was there to show everyone that underestimating people can have serious repercussions. Scene transitions to a quieter office where Leah stands nervously but determined, gripping her portfolio like it's a life raft. Now, about Leah's mom. Claudia Santos was no ordinary parent. A highly qualified project engineer, she was fighting not just for her job, but against a system that often turned its back on her due to prejudice. It ate at her spirit. And as Leah stood there clutching her mother's meticulously organized portfolio, the very lifeblood of Claudia's hard work and ambition, she felt a mix of fear and determination. Suddenly, Richard Thornfield appears tall, imposing, his arrogance palpable. He looks down at the little girl, a smirk forming on his face. "Really," he says, eyeing Leah with blatant skepticism. "You must be mistaken, little one. Why don't you run off and play while the adults handle business?" But instead of backing down, Leah squared her shoulders. "I'm not mistaken, Mr. Thornfield. I'm here to present my mother's ideas for your company. You might want to take a look." The tension thickens as the office employees start to gather around, sensing something rare and poignant unfolding. Thornfield shrugged off her confidence, staring at her portfolio like it was nothing more than a children's drawing. "Kids like you should stick to their crayons," he murmured, arrogance oozing from every word. But the atmosphere had changed, and suddenly the audience of employees felt like they were watching a showdown straight out of a movie. Leah slowly opens the portfolio, revealing charts and graphs prepared by her mother. "Mr. Thornfield, this is my mom's research on cost reduction strategies for Blackstone." She began, her voice steady despite the shaking in her hands. "Your company could benefit from implementing these ideas, reducing costs, while also making a commitment to hiring a more diverse workforce." Thornfield rolled his eyes, dismissing the presented ideas, ready to end the conversation. "Let's be real," he sneered. "A child can't possibly understand the complexities of corporate America." And this was when everything shifted. Leah didn't just take his remark as an insult. She saw it as an opportunity. "You're wrong, Mr. Thornfield, because it seems to me that you're the one who doesn't understand how diversity creates strength." The employees around them exchanged glances, surprise mixed with admiration. This was not a typical corporate meeting. Then in that moment, Leah laid out everything her mother had uncovered: the systemic bias within Blackstone's hiring practices, the internal documents that suggested they were losing out on talent simply because of race. The room fell silent, and you could feel the weight of truth in the air. Thornfield's face morphed from disbelief to a frantic realization. He was being outsmarted by an 8-year-old girl. Dr. Martinez, a stern civil rights attorney, enters the scene, her presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. "Mr. Thornfield," she said, her voice smooth yet full of authority, "I have evidence that backs everything this child is saying. Your discriminatory practices aren't just unethical, they are illegal." The room shifted again, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. The employees were now rooting for Leah, caught up in the drama. Thornfield felt the panic start to settle in. He'd spent years crafting his image as a fortress, but here stood this courageous little girl, shaking the very foundation of his empire. Listen, I'm not afraid of threats, Miss Santos, he stammered, desperation seeping into his tone. But Leah, fierce as a lion, leaned in closer. Then how about this? You can hire my mother and implement the changes my portfolio suggests, or everyone in this room can witness your downfall. Leah's voice rose, every emotion, every ounce of passion shining through her innocent frame. I mean, can you imagine the power dynamic shifting like that? An 8-year-old commanding the attention of a CEO, challenging the very core of corporate arrogance. Thornfield, once filled with bravado, now looked small and cornered. The tide had turned, and he realized he would have to concede if he wanted to save face. I'll agree to your demands, he finally stammered out, defeated. Claudia will be hired, and we'll review diversity practices. Yes, I understand your point. And just as if the universe wanted to pull this moment together perfectly, Claudia entered the room, her eyes flickering with confusion but fast filling with joy when Leah rushed into her arms. Camera focuses on a triumphant Leah, the weight lifted from her shoulders. Leah had done it. She had shown that courage knows no age. The social media buzz soared in the wake of this confrontation. Blackstone's new diversity initiatives became a hot topic, and people started to hold corporations accountable, and all because of one brave little girl who refused to back down. Scene transitions to Lee, now absolutely radiant with pride, her mother by her side, both of them looking ahead with hope and determination. And maybe there's a lesson for all of us in this story, you know? Sometimes it takes someone underestimated, someone who's been bullied and overlooked to remind us that our voices matter, no matter how small we are. So here's my question for you. Have you ever witnessed a moment when the underdog turned the tides? What can we do to uplift the voices that need to be heard? Drop your thoughts below. Share your stories of courage, and let's spark a conversation about justice and the power of perseverance. If you enjoyed this tale of triumph and transformation, be sure to subscribe for more stories that celebrate the power of change. After all, who knows what else might be brewing in the heart of a child ready to make waves? Let's keep the dialogue going.